All right then. Greetings, Hotep, Bakwaba, Blessa. Welcome back to the recovery zone of Racism Non-Anonymous with me, Sis Abana Africa, the recovering African who is still culturally enslaved here in America. I am also a representative from the voices in the margins. I am true to the cause of African liberation via unification and utilizing the tool of healthy and effective communications. And I just peeped something for myself right there with that little statement. Like, aha, that's right. Healthy and effective communication is a tool that we can choose to use or not. However, we are getting to that later on down the line. Just for today, I want you to continue to know about me is that I am a traumatized traumatologist, trauma queen, and queen of trauma. And that is understanding trauma and traumatic stress, what it is, and how it has and continues to work in, as I understand it today, not only the lives of African descendants, yet it appears very crystal clear to me, and it seems many others, that this thing called trauma and traumatic stress has been dumped upon all of us, the world's peoples, the peoples in the world, whether you are black, white, Latina, Asian, whether you are upper class, lower class, middle class, and intermediate, in any of those stages, and intermediate and or intermixed even. And for sure, as I say, the system of racism, there are three primary pillars. It's always a triangle. It's always the threes: mind, body, spirit, God, the Father, God, the Son, God, the Holy Spirit, all in threes. Id, ego, super ego, the power of the three. And the Trinity, the power of the Trinity. The Trinity of racism, white supremacy seems to be religion, patriarchy, and racism. Those are the three pillars of the system of white supremacy. And I am not quite sure for the moment what why and where my spirit energy thought went to that. However, it's like, oh wow, look at that. Yeah, that's how to phrase this thing. Something that I have come to know for a good little while now. And when I say a good little while, I'm talking about like 20, 25 years or so, yo. Yes. And it because it's an addiction, it's a disease, the disease of addiction, which is very cunning, baffling, and so very powerful. hmm And when I have, kind of come across and or recognize the system of racism, white supremacy as an addiction, and in fact, the world's addiction, the primary systemic problem And the culture, it's been cultivated. This thought and belief system or system that, the notion of quote unquote white skinned people were in fact above and supreme to all other groups of races in the world, so to speak, quote unquote races or other skin toned people is actually what it was. Yet this illness, this disease, this addiction to power and control that it appears white skinned group of people way back when, way back when they came up out of the caves and shit, and when they, survived that period of time where in the northern cradle, I believe it was the northern cradle, southern cradle. Now I'm getting it too confused, or what? How I think it was the northern cradle of existence where Europeans emerged out of the caves and they came over to Egypt land, and where there was a land of milk and honey. African civilizations were blooming, and they learned and they became hooked, and they wanted to take control, and they wanted to exercise power and control of this knowledge, this information that they had acquired when they came out of the caves. And that dynamic process and illness, that infection. Yeah. Ooh, when I heard Dr. Maremma Aini, and it was back, I believe it was 1994, I heard her speak and teach in Atlanta at a NABSW conference, which were held yearly and which I attended back then. And when she talked about Urugu and the cultural virus that had been introduced into our civilizations, and it was like a virus that was introduced, and that virus was the Europeans cultural germ seed, which was implanted in our cultures and belief systems. It's like, you inject a virus. It's called a vaccination. That's what they call it nowadays. A vaccination, they give you the fucking virus. They give you the disease, whatever vaccination you're getting, whether it's a flu vac, pneumonia vac, shingles, they give you that illness so that your body develops the antibodies needed to fight it off. So we know we have the antibodies. How about that then? Although we have been infected and we have been for centuries ingesting European cultural thought and behavior, and the ways we have been ingesting that shit is through media, memes, memes. The original term of what a meme is a mind virus. That is what a meme is, a mind virus, whereby everybody believes the same shit. You are representing and living a meme that has been passed down in your way of thinking. And then those memes, thoughts trigger feelings and behaviors. However, we have been taught to suppress the feeling part, and we only focus on the thought, and then there's the behavior. I think you fuck me up, I'm gonna fuck you up. Boom, that's it. No feeling involved, right? That's how that works. So let me say this real quick, and yes, you do not see me right now because we have some technological challenges today. with our video equipment, whereby my camera, I woke up this morning to a camera that is my integrated camera that's not integrated apparently because it's not working. And I do not have the funds. I understand. I have a person to take it to, and I know exactly what they're going to say and what they're going to want to do and what it's going to cost me, and I don't have it like that. And I really believe that's a damn scam anyway. You probably can fix it without all that shit. However, it's how the world works. So, so to speak. So there's no video. I can, if I turn on my video right now, you will see what I end up seeing all the time, which is a locked video screen. So you just see the logo of Third Eye Insights, therapy and coaching for knowledge of self. You know, I would I have to be cautious about the background music because I don't know which tunes are licensed and which ones are not. And because I do want to post this on YouTube, I understand I have to be careful about that because some songs are not licensed to play in certain areas in the world, and that shit will get blocked and all that. It's like all this new stuff that even I am learning at this point, and it has been. This is 2024. It's been a good 11 years since I had been active on social media and learning, the technology tools for social media. I had a website, I had a YouTube page, and all these different things, right? However, and then life happened in my life in a way that sort of cut me off from those activities, and I'm coming back to it and coming back to it with the advancements. Like, oh, whoa, there's so much new stuff to learn, and it's work, and it's a bit challenging at times, anyway, when you have limited resources to support that happening. So I do the best I can with what I have, and I'm okay with that. And I have come to this thing of acceptance, that thing in the middle. Again, it's always that thing in the middle that catches us, at least for sure, in the mental health arena. And by that, I mean the thing in the middle in terms of mental health is it's thoughts generate feelings which generate and dictate behaviors. It's about when you want to make changes for yourself, you want to go through a process of becoming aware. Second step is acceptance, and then there's action. People struggle typically with the thing always in the middle, that is acceptance and feelings. We want to deny the feelings. We have a thought, it triggers some feelings that we want to suppress. We suppress them, and the behavior comes out a bit wacky because you have suppressed the feeling that's attached. When it moves to awareness of a need to change, the toughest thing is acceptance, because when we become aware of a situation or some shit that needs to change, we work to find all kind of which ways around, upside down, and through that thing. We don't want to accept it for what the flip-flop it is, so that we can then take the appropriate action. It's that point of acceptance where we have to do a whole lot of flip-flop and work, excuse me, to get to the point of fully accepting. That's how the process of recovery works. That's how if you understand, addiction, alcoholism, the first step of AA teaches people to admit. Once a person is able to surrender and admit, all right, god damn it, I accepted alcohol is fucking my life up and I got to do something about this damn alcohol. Then they can begin to take steps to do something about the alcohol. However, unless and until they get to that point of acceptance, they tend to continue the behavior of drinking, and they continue to find ways to sort of justify what they're doing and to deny and to deflect everything away from the alcohol. It's not the alcohol, is you. If you did this different, if they did that different, anything outside of myself. However, it's not me and this alcohol. They don't want to accept it. And it's only until they come to a point of acceptance that they can then be in a position of power to then take the steps that they need to, address the problem. And understanding the problem is the alcohol. The problem is not the person. The problem is the alcohol. Now, for those of you in relationships, whatever, the one who is not actively involved in the drinking, so to speak, when there's an alcohol addiction as a relationship challenger, once the non-drinking partner accepts it's not the person that's the problem, it's the alcohol that's the problem. And being able to always work to constantly and consistently talk about the alcohol as opposed to talking about the person. Separate, it's about, like narrative theory teaches us, it's about separating the person from the problem. The problem is the problem, it's not the person. And it's, the kind of psychological therapeutic work and frameworks, ways of viewing situations and shit to support folks with having the tools that they use and need to address it. Because if I can stop saying that you're the problem and begin to point to, well, hon, what do you think about this thing? Well, what about this? I think that this thing is the issue, and this is what I need to do for this thing. Not the person that you love. They're not the problem. It's the problem that's the problem. The problem is alcohol. The problem is the system of racism, white supreme, flip-flopping lunacy. That's the problem. It's not the white people that's the problem. It's the system of fucking racism, white supremacy. That's the problem. And for anyone who what can see that, then yeah, come on, let's talk. Let's build. Let's work to dismantle the problem. Let's work together to address the problem, which is racism, white supremacy as a cultural problem. Is ultimately, like any other addiction, it's about a person's way of thinking and behaving based on those thoughts. If I think that this person is worthless, then I am likely to behave in a way to support that belief. So it's about challenging beliefs. It's about challenging and or reevaluating beliefs and values, and reevaluating and assessing how they help versus hurt you, and then how they help versus hurt the broader flip-flopping community and world you are living in. That's the work of third eye insights. Activating that third eye to begin to look at yourself in that way. And yes, it's work. It's what I recognize and I've always called this the work of therapy, quote unquote, Learning how to look at, listen to ourselves. So that's all I have for tonight. Since I have these little tech difficulties, I did want to come on and work to be to what do I say? Do I respect my own integrity? I'm an hour late. The recovery room is supposed to be open on Saturdays at 6 p.m. However, and at the same time, I'm doing the best I can with what I have. So it's not always as I plan. And I learned early in the rooms of Al-Anon. And please forgive my speech. I'm gonna say this real quick. See, this part of the whole system though. My speech is challenged in this way right now because of the dental work that I had done a year ago. Oh Lord. And there is much to say about that process, what I learned about that industry of cosmetics. I guess it's the world of cosmetics and prosthetics. Cosmetics and prosthetics. That would be a that should be a topic of discussion I can have at any given time. Because it certainly floats through my mind at least shit 5 times a week because it involves my teeth, my mouth, and the sensations thereof, and how it got to be where it is today. The role that a black woman played, oh my goodness, not just one, and not just one black woman, not one. One, two, three, four comes up immediately. It was the family, the black family member who supported me with this shit. The black female dental prosthologist, I suppose they call, who did the work and good at what she do. Yeah. Yet, and at the same time, you giving me some shit. It's not right. And then many of the techs, the dental techs, the folks, they were primarily black women, predominantly black women, and a few with some shit with them. Hurtful shit, really hurtful. Like, and so I've been in the process really of working to patiently forgive myself, calm myself, um, take care of that part of me that is so hurt and confused and wounded by the practices and the behaviors of black women towards other black women. For me, that is a what? Dang. As I think about it, that's my life damn story as a black woman. As a child, yeah, many other black women, black children, growing up in the 60s and 70s, being dark skinned with nappy hair, you were the target. So it's always being targeted in that regard, right? And then family dynamics, because of my intellect, I was targeted by those who had determined that I thought I was better because I was quote unquote smart, even though everybody in the damn family been telling me since I'm 4 or 5 years old that I was deep and smart. Like, what the fuck, right? It's black women though. It's my sisters, my black sisters, who talked about me in a way that they supported their black daughters with doing the same. It's been my life story. And then I go out in the work world, in the professional world, and black women are fucked up and fucking over each other. Black women in the mental health field, I was just so sickened. Especially coming through the 90s as a black social worker, coming across black women from all around, the United States and shit, who taught and thought different than what I experienced right at home. And those same black women who went to the conference with me, and when we came back to the city and they went back into their jobs and their positions and shit and did shit like, what the fuck wrong with you? What the fuck happened? Something happened. Something bad happened. Because the way we treat each other is just so unjust. So, yeah, I want to end on that note. And, it feels kind of comfortable for me to even not be seen right now, to be able to share my thoughts. And I'm talking right now to the computer screen, and so to speak, yet, and at the same time, I'm cool with that. I'm very comfortable, and there's nobody here, and I'll clip and send it out. And for those who hear, who can hear, those who have ears, let them hear. Those who have eyes, let them see what is inside and coming from me, Mama Earth, Sis Abena, Africa. And I say to you, thank you for listening to me share. I encourage you to hit the like, the subscribe, and the share if you believe it could be helpful to someone else besides yourself. And until next time, stay safe.